Tonight on Podcast Them Down, when does an album on Metal Archive really deserve 0%? Because it's not this time. Cast them down! Hey, Metal Nation, this is Podcast Them Down. It is we, Tim and Mike, and we are talking about, as alluded to in a previous episode, there is a ridiculous review on Metal Archives about Battle Beast's album Circus of Doom. Now, I again, as I explained in the last episode, I hated them. Then I saw them, and I was like, okay, they're not that bad. I was wrong. Not my favorite band, new favorite band ever. But 0%? Are you fucking kidding me? Especially when you hear the other reviews this guy gave and why he justifies his 0%. 0%.
Yeah, that's extreme.
Yeah. Okay, so and the thing is, I agree with a few minor points in this unhinged rant that isn't even, unhinged rants are fun when they're correct. Like,
right.
Like when the Podcast Them Down episode, when we poked all the holes in everyone's supposedly favorite Iron Maiden, new era Iron Maiden song, Empire of the Skies. That was a fun unhinged rant. This one is just wrong and certainly inaccurately scored. And we're also going to investigate what's going on over in the KAMELOT side of things. I think people just don't like success. Maybe that's it. All right.
I have a counter to that, but yeah.
Oh, fair. Okay. I was just speculating. All right. So this review, you can look it up yourself. So I don't need to cite it or anything, right? It's by Cluseba. Reviewed April 16th, 2022. And this is Battle Beast's 2022 album Circus of Doom. Roughly 7 years ago, I came across the exaggerated hype around finished power metal sextet Battle Beast. Oh, we didn't mention that they had a keytar. So they had a...
Oh, that's right.
Yep. All right. Oh, well. And listen to the abysmally formulaic pop music with heavy guitar chugging on Unholy Savior. He is not all that wrong. He's being overly dramatic. But yes, they did have exaggerated hype. It is formulaic pop metal. Okay.
That doesn't mean it's bad.
I'll give them that. About 3 years ago, I attended a concert headlined by KAMELOT and supported by Sonata Arctica that also included Battle Beast on the billing, and the latter's performance made me think of a party band fronted by a yoga guru. Okay. Is he talking about Sonata Arctica? Because if any of those bands is fronted by a yoga guru, I mean, really, it could have been Tommy Karavik wears like a hood. I mean, any of them could have been fronted by a yoga guru. What the hell are you talking about? A proverb says the third time's a charm. So I decided to give the band's sixth studio album, Circus of Doom, a chance after having read several positive reviews. What? If the third time's the charm, why are you listening to the sixth album? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
My verdict, however, is extremely negative, as Battle Beast's Circus of Doom is even worse than anything else I've experienced regarding this band and qualifies as a strong candidate for worst record of the year. Worst record of 2022.
Yeah, that's a strong statement.
All right. There are so many things wrong with this output that it's difficult to know where to start. The faceless, toothless, and vapid production would suit a pop band from the 70s rather than a power metal group. What? You willingly attended a KAMELOT show and you're whining about pop metal? You were at a KAMELOT show. You didn't say a word about Sonata Arctica, who has gone off the fucking deep end in terms of total shit songwriting. and you're pointing at Battle Beast as being the problem, you are way off your fucking rocker. Like, what are you even listening to?
Yeah, be consistent, right? Like okay, you're gonna take the piss out of them, fine, but you got to take like you went to a show that is Battle Beast, Camelot, and Sonata Arctica. Like that show on paper, if this is what you hate,
That
has nothing for you.
exactly. You shouldn't be there. You are just being a contrarian because everyone likes Battle Beast,
Right.
because of the hype. Which again, I agree there was a lot of hype about them when they came out. Okay? So he's right about that, and he's right to be skeptical of the hype. But he's holding on to that without further data, which I will admit is pretty metal. Holding on to your opinion.
I have a data point for you about this particular person.
Oh, I have done some research as well, so I'm looking forward to that. We'll get there because there's some more points in this review that are just wrong. The guitar riffs sound powerless, and the guitar solos remain forgettable, short, and unimpressive. All three of those are wrong. They are not short, they are not forgettable, and they are not unimpressive. And again, they are more impressive and less forgettable than any other guitar solo at that concert he went to. Camelot is not known for their guitar solos. Sonata Arctica is not known for their guitar solos. Like, Battle Beast has better guitar solos. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, yeah, again, be consistent. He can't drop the fact that he went to Camelot and then whine about Battle Beast. You cannot do that without whining about Camelot too. Let's see. The cringeworthy vocals induce headaches as the singer sounds strained when attempting to hit the high notes. That's a stylistic choice. She's doing that on purpose.
I'm curious to see if he has any Tim Owens era Iced Earth reviews.
Oh yeah, good question. That comes as a negative surprise since Nora Luhimo's guest vocals on recent outputs by Gravedigger and Hammerfall were rather decent. Again, he's listening to Hammerfall and going, good. This is good. This is not pop metal. Yes, it is. Perhaps her dreadful performance is partially due to the abysmal songwriting on this coaster as a frisbee. I wouldn't call it abysmal. I'd just call it, turning the crank. Let's write some more Sabaton songs. That's what Battle Beast does. Despite the predictable attempt to write short, memorable, and catchy tunes, not one single track manages to stand out even after multiple painful spins. And that's just wrong because Master of Illusion, Where Angels Fear to Fly, and Eye of the Storm are all like, they're what every power metal band wants to write. Like, that's the bread and butter of power metal, at least recent power metal. Let's say that. There are no redeeming qualities whatsoever to be found on this horrible record. The worst offender to my ears is shallow pop song Russian Roulette that mixes painfully strained vocals with stereotypical electronic keyboard patterns and fake drum sounds reminding of exchangeable Schlager music from the 70s. Again, Russian Roulette is not that much different than anything else on that album. Like,
it sounds like this person just has like a grudge. You know what I mean? Like everything just justifies every negative aspect supports his preconceived.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
42 minutes of 42 vapid minutes of terrible pop music with simplistic guitar play that attempts to be heavy but ends up sounding unintentionally funny, as if the whole record were an album made by pop musicians who have no clue what heavy metal is about, but are trying to parody it nonetheless. Those exist. Like, what he's describing is out there.
yeah.
The guitar sound is mellow, repetitive, and shallow. He uses vapid like 5 times. I'm jumping around the article now. Article. This diatribe by an idiot. The drum sound is so fake that it could come from a computer. Guess what? Hammerfall, Kamelot, Sonata Arctica, Your Heroes, all of those have fake drums on it.
Yeah.
Or at least sample replace drums. Come on. Well, maybe Hammerfall can afford it. Anyway, at the end of the day, Battle Beast Circus of Doom offers shallow pop music of the worst kind, with strained vocals, sterile production, and uninspired musicianship. The only remotely positive element about this record is the colorful cover artwork, but that doesn't deserve any points in the final rating of this dreadful product. Disagree. If the cover artwork's good, it's specifically says right here, written based on the 2022 CD by Nuclear Blast. That's part of your review. That's why on Podcast I'm Down, we include a category for the artwork and presentation and include it in the final score. So your 0 is unfounded. And by the way, this is not that good of a cover. So he's wrong about the one thing he thinks he's positive about. This cover is bland and uninspired. Like, he's wrong about everything. He is wrong about everything. Let's see. Life is too beautiful to spend any more time listening to this disaster piece.
Oh, my goodness.
You could tell. You could hear his boner when he came up with the word disaster piece. If you are looking for a dynamic combination of pop music and heavy metal, give Japanese bands such as Bandmade a chance instead. Okay. So you had a data point for me, and I bet I have a few more data points for you.
All right. This person has made 1,743 reviews. I've got another.
Yep. I think I know where this is going, but go ahead.
I found this person's review for Ghost.
Oh.
Impera.
Okay, this is not going where I thought it was going. Yeah.
And he gave it an 80.
No.
And I love Impera. I think it's a great album, but it is about as poppy as it gets. And I don't mind hating pop. Like I don't mind hating pop and metal. It's an understandable.
Be consistent.
Yeah. Like if you don't don't use that as a critique. Say like it's a bad blend of pop and metal or something like that, right? Like say, oh, they did this poorly. Don't say, oh, it's just vapid pop music. It's like, there's lots of vapid pop music in metal. It doesn't mean it's bad.
Okay.
But anyway.
Take Metallica. This is going to sound like it's coming from left field, but if you had to choose between Ride the Lightning and Saint Anger, which album is better? Would you say Ride the Lightning is better than Saint Anger, or would you say that Saint Anger is better than Ride the Lightning?
I think we'd have to choose Ride the Lightning.
Okay, well, guess what? He thinks they are equally good. He gave both of them a 96. This guy likes Saint Anger, not just likes it, loves it. It's Metallica's
96.
world, suckers. That's what that's his tagline for his review.
Yikes.
It gets worse. You may or may not know this, but there is an Iron Maiden. I'm sorry. I did you listen to our like 20 episodes about Iron Maiden and
he also gives And Justice for All a 96.
Oh yes, he does. He loves what is it? One of the absolutely unlistenable Iron Maiden albums. I'm finding it if I could remember how to type. Live After Death, he gave 100%. See, this is the confusing thing because yes, that's a fantastic album. He's spot on, but he gives the X Factor 98%. It's even better than Saint Anger, and he calls it the most intense Iron Maiden studio album, which I'm confused what album he's listening to because no, it's not. It's terrible. He also gives Dance of Death 95%. This guy is just a contrarian, and to further prove my point, he gives Judas Priest's Jugulator, which had Tim Owens on it, with his painfully strained vocals, which we know he doesn't like. He gave Jugulator a 97%. Jugulator.
Man, that is very, yeah. Tim Owens, when he's in a particular range, I think he sounds great. But if we're talking about strained, though, yeah, no.
And it's not good that Judas Priest has tried to erase the existence of Jugulator and the Tim Owens era, and it's not as bad of a record as people like to say it is, but it is not better than Painkiller. It is not one of the best Judas Priest albums. You're just wrong. Now, he does, and again, this guy's puzzling because he loves Ecliptica by Sonata Arctica. Yeah, that's good, but
Evergrey, The Atlantic, which is a solid album too.
Yeah, and I saw some more. There's Amorphous. He loves, for some reason, one of the boring Black Sabbath albums.
He's got Tyr, Eric the Red, and Ragnarok up high, which I'm totally down with.
He's right on those. Yeah, Blind Guardian. He likes Live Beyond the Spheres, but Live is so much better than Live Beyond the Spheres. I don't know, it's just confusing. Also, in the the letter A grades, there's Dream Theaters, Black Clouds and Silver Linings, Baryon Sirius B, and again, that's not the best album by these bands. It's just so weird what he loves. Now let's look at what he hates. And he unfortunately, Battle Beast is not the only band he gave a 0%. He rated it lower than Manowar's Lord of Steel, which he gave 1%. The Lord of Steel is unlistenable dreck. and he rated Battle Beast lower than that. He also doesn't like Celtic Frost. There's an Ex-Japan album he doesn't like. There's a Voivod album he doesn't like.
Yeah, but the Celtic Frost thing is a demo album. Limited to 30 copies.
He says kill it with fire. Yeah, so I don't know. Keep it in your pants, dude. and
I
think about what you're actually writing because you are inconsistent.
Yeah, I think that's what it boils down to, right? I think there's clear indications looking at some of these reviews that his taste doesn't exclude Battle Beast, but he, for whatever reason, I'm assuming it's a he, for whatever reason, he's decided that Battle Beast in particular is really bad. But he gave The Awakening a 50 or something like that, or 55.
Oh, so higher than average.
Yeah, you can't give it. You can't give it a worse rating than 6 Feet Under.
This is a perfect segue into the back half of this episode. So, Mike, you noticed during our Kamelot show review that The Awakening got an average of 39%. Is that it?
Yeah. Now, it's not my favorite Kamelot album.
The highest review is 55%,
which is by
from our friend.
Yeah, I don't think this is a 39% album.
And he's wrong. He's already wrong in his this high scoring review on The Awakening. He says the international group plays power metal with at times progressive songwriting and symphonic arrangements that often flirt with gothic stylistic. It's always gothic, it's always symphonic, it is never progressive, and it's barely power metal. So he doesn't even know what he likes or what he's listening to.
Oh, I don't quite get. Well, okay. So there's something that Doug said when we were doing our Awakening review is that, like, okay, Silverthorn, Haven, Shadow Theory, The Awakening are very much all cut from the same cloth.
Absolutely.
And they probably peaked on this style, in my opinion, at Haven. Though I full confession, I have not listened to Silverthorn that much. I don't know why. But anyway, like Shadow Theory, it feels like not as well done. Haven, The Awakening to me feels like a better done Shadow Theory, but not as good as Haven. So it's like it seems like they're starting to fall victim to the sameness of these few albums.
Yeah, I do think they have developed a style that they're afraid to get out of.
Yeah. And it's weird because it dovetails so much with their older stuff. Like you can hear old Camelot in the newer stuff, but it's not the same. That being said, though, yeah, this is not a 39% album. And sometimes these reviews on Metal Archives are like insane.
Yeah. Let's take a look at a couple of these. One is called The Autopilot 40%.
Yeah.
By Demon Fang. The Awakening finds itself in a wholly awkward position when all is said and done. On one hand, it is at least a marked improvement over the turbo-generic The Shadow Theory, as it is Camelot recognizing what makes Camelot, well, Camelot. How can you pick apart these albums like that? Like, I don't know how you can say any of them are an improvement. Like, they're all generic. Like, that's the point.
I'll say that I didn't like The Shadow Theory as much as I liked The Awakening. However, that might be to my revelation that listening to both The Shadow Theory and The Awakening must be done with an entirely flat EQ. At least because otherwise the guitar is eaten.
That's right. That's right. We talked about this.
Yeah. So I have this negative feeling towards The Shadow Theory that may or may not be properly earned. So
let's see. The issue is that there's nothing that really grabs you once you get past the fan service. This guy's been reviewing too much Star Wars. Rather than meticulously crafting some truly regal melodies, this shit's just fucking Mad Libs with how familiar but sloppy it sounds in comparison to what it's imitating. It's not to say that this is terrible. On a technical level, the songs are competent. I love a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
They can carry a tune of sorts. Thomas can still throw out a solid riff and a sick solo. Tommy's vocals still switch between warm and theatrical without going over the top, just like Roy did back in the day, albeit warmer than what Roy had, and the songs at least have some sense of grandeur to them. But basically, every song here is made with the idea that as long as the basic ideas are there, the songs can just write themselves, but they don't.
I actually sort of agree with this.
He's not wrong. I feel like 40 is a bit low.
I agree. Yeah, it's more solid than that.
All right, the next one, 22%. Product, trademark.
I have a feeling this review is going to annoy me.
Yeah, this is basically the same same criticisms. After you really listen to music for a while, you start to value. This is by Imperial, spelled weird. You start to value different things than when you started. This isn't to say that everyone's going to value the same stuff. But certainly, you eventually do stop looking at the glossy surface aesthetics and pay more attention to the character and style and substance. Why are you going into KAMELOT looking for style and substance at least? Power metal is a genre that may not get respect from certain divisions of metal fans, but the best stuff in the genre positively pulsates with fucking life.
This guy likes to just like throw in. Oh, you know what? The last one did this too. It's like, oh, the diction is so well. Why did we drop this fuck word in here?
Yeah,
it just hit me out of nowhere.
The really good bands in the genre meld everything together into a surge of power and catharsis. The reason here it comes again. There's a reason it still has this core diehard fan base that keeps making and consuming it. It's because when played well, it's just so fucking good. There's also a subset of commercialized metal that started cropping up into the 2000s. Really? The 2000s? That's when commercialized metal?
Yeah.
No. You're ignoring the 3 decades of metal before it. That really started to have its renaissance. The bands sort of mashed into neatly confined boxes using much of the same sonic touchstones. The pin drop clear production. Why are people complaining about clear production? This is what bands have been after forever.
I really like the last sentence of this, but keep going.
Okay. But what drives me nuts? I can hear the bass. This is fucking horseshit. Let's see. Chugging mechanical genty riffs, the same Disney-esque choirs and orchestral parts vomited over everything. I think it got to a point in the late 2000s or early 10s where you could play a few of these acts side by side and a casual listener wouldn't have been able to tell the difference if not for the singer alone. Nightwish, Modern Avantasia, Leaves Eyes.
That's the line I like.
Who knows how many other bands?
What do you mean Modern Avantasia?
Yeah.
Like what's... I like Avantasia. I do.
All of these bands started out that way. Like that was their stated goal. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, Avantasia was never there to be like Druk Volt. It was always poppies.
Yeah, all of those bands were. Except only one of them had an asshole in charge of them. All this to say, KAMELOT's really been in autopilot mode for a few albums now, huh? Don't disagree.
What did he Atala do to you? Jeez.
You're right to you're wrong at podcastthemdown.com.
Do we really have that?
We sure do.
Oh, that's amazing.
But it's also a test for the listener because they have to be able to spell you're wrong correctly.
Oh. Yeah, we're done.
It's spelled correctly. It's.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
It's just that they'll never get it.
Let's see. Songs like Forever, The Spell, Center of the Universe, When the Lights Are Down, Moonlight. Fuck, you could go on and on. They were just really stellar and spot on as a band for that run of years. Okay, so he's saying those are not autopilot, even though I would say all the power metal was a different kind of autopilot. You know, when KAMELOT was power metal, they did the same thing. They just tried to put out the same like power metal within the same box, and then they just changed what their box was, and now he has a problem with it. You know?
Right.
Let's see. Let me jump ahead. This kind of polished stuff can even be good at times. If you're putting an orchestra on there, it does need to be polished because otherwise it just sounds like mush. Like I don't understand hating good production. I still enjoy what Avantasia does. Fuck him. This guy's wrong about everything. Even despite the diminishing returns at times, and some glossy pop can occasionally hit the spot, sure. But here it's just not done well. Okay. You know, like, I think this is, again, a few decent points, but his score is way too low. It's not a 22, you know.
Yeah, it's a reasonable, it's a, to take a backhanded compliment, it's a competent album. Like, no, but like it's not so bad. It's not like the Shags, if you ever heard them, where the album, to give an album like a 0 or a super low score, it has to be like the Shags, where if you're unfamiliar with them, are you familiar with them?
No.
The story behind the Shags is that their father had some sort of dream or like palm reading that his daughters were gonna
like an actual dream, not like a one day.
Yeah, that I think it was his sons were going to be a famous rock and roll band. Then he had three daughters, but he was like, "Yeah, we'll still do it." And he was like, "Here's a guitar, here's drums, go." And they didn't know what they were doing. And there's an album that the Shags made, and it's like they don't. I think I'm trying to think of one of the reviews I saw for it, but it's something like, it's like they have no concept of any basic musical building block, like nothing. They don't understand rhythm, rhyme, meter. They don't understand harmony, chords, nothing. And it creates such an awkward album.
That's amazing.
And yeah, it actually, in its own way, I think it ended up being very influential. But like, that's an album where you give it a 0. It's like, all right, I get it, because they literally, it's like not fair to them, right? like this band existing was sort of a crime. And there's your 0, right? But to do Battle Beast as a 0, or to do like 20s for Kamelot, it's like, no, it's too much. It's too much. Anyway.
No, I agree.
How did I get to that topic?
I don't even know. All right, well, that's all I have to say about that. Like, I guess Metal Nation, when you review on Metal Archives, your words have to match your numbers. And this just goes back to being consistent.
Yes.
You know, and that's why we set out the Metal Codex, the Metal Review Codex episode, where we enumerated exactly how we're going to review albums. You need a rubric. You can't just say a bunch of stuff and then give a score that doesn't quite match what you said. You know, your reviews do not exist in a vacuum. So do better, yes. Metal Nation. Except for all the Metal Nation who have been doing just fine. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. And we'll see you next time. Cast them down!